Welcome to Conversations with Sakeina. Today we are going to go through the Star Trek Next Generation Tarot Deck and Guidebook. And after showing you all the cards, I am going to shuffle really well and ask Sakeina what she feels about this deck. We'll see what she has to say. So this is a really, really sturdy box, quite thick, in fact. And it has the thumb holes to help to open the deck, or the box, sorry. And here we have the guidebook. And I actually have looked at the guidebook itself. I did not look at the cards as yet, but the guidebook does have pictures, and I've discovered that other than the page through king and the Major Arcana cards, all the minor Arcana cards are pips. So this is a pip deck. And I also discovered, and again, I went through the book to some degree, but the book itself, even though the box was sealed when I received it, the book is not holding up. You can see the glue here did not hold. So I hope that is not everyone's experience, but this is my experience. So as you can see, we have colored photos where there are people, and there's also, in the minor arcana, there are also colored pictures, not as large. And then of course you get to the page, the knight, the queen, and the king, and we have color again, only smaller. And in this case we have the Cloaks, which would be wands, Latinum, which would be pentacles or coins, batliths, which would be swords, and starships for cups. I also found it interesting, and I have not tried these yet, but they gave us some spreads in the back. One of the spreads is called Calculating the Odds. One is called Red Alert. And one is Prime Directive. So with anybody that's a Star Trek Next Generation fan, those spreads would make some sense. Now let's take a look at the cards here, and look at that. What was on the inside of this? Anything? Okay, this is just black on the inside with a little bit of patterning, and I think, no, that's not the Enterprise. Thought it might be, but I don't, well, maybe, oh no, it's their, this thing, communicator. And on the inside of the box that holds the cards, we've obviously got the ribbon to help get the cards out, and we have the Starship Enterprise. So we will set that aside for now. And on the back of the cards, we have the emblems for the Federation. You'll have to excuse the sounds in the background. If you hear any odd ones, it is my Chihuahua, who tends to like to snore when I'm recording. And it has the NCC 17010 Enterprise number. And this can be turned either way. Sort of. And I say sort of because obviously they've done the lettering upside down, and this image here and this image here would be the same. However, these are not. So if we have it this way, we have the pointed ones up. If we have it this way, we have the curve. So it is not completely reversible, we'll say that, if that's what you prefer. Okay, so let's see how the cards are. And as I said, I have not gone through these yet. I just quickly glanced just now because of the 10 that I was looking at the back of. Obviously something is a little amiss because you would think that what I would be seeing would be the King of Starships, but it's not. So let's see where this goes. Let's see how they stacked them. So we have the Fool, which is Data. And that works because Data is an android and he strives to be human. So just like our own human experience, you know, we strive very hard to make the best of our human experience. Then we have Geordie as the Magician, which also made sense to me simply because Geordie he's what makes the Starship Enterprise run. He is a magician. He can fix pretty much anything. And as you can see, we have the 1 and the 0 at the top here in the wheel. Then we have Counselor Troy, Counselor Deanna Troy, as the High Priestess, card number 2 of the Major Arcana. And this is, since she is the empath, her as the High Priestess makes sense. Beverly Crusher, the Doctor. And again, this makes sense to have her as the Empress. She cares and nurtures for the whole crew. But she also takes over the command of the ship. She's first in line to do that after Riker, if necessary. Speaking of Riker, William Riker as the Emperor. I have to look at the reasoning behind that. Just a second here. Let's see what it says. The Emperor takes command of his dominion, wielding an authority built on experience and respect. Commander William Riker demonstrates this quality time and time again during his tenure on the Enterprise. As the ship's first officer, it falls to him to take control in dire situations and enforce the discipline that Starfleet protocol requires. Okay, I guess my thinking, would have been that the Emperor would have been Picard, but we'll see where he is when the time comes. Number 5 is the Hierophant. And I'm sorry, I need to look up who this is. I know she's an admiral. I remember that, but I don't remember her name. So her name is Ilana Nechayev. I'm not sure I pronounced that right. I can see the episode she's in. But anyway, it says the Hierophant upholds the laws and traditions of a society. For Admiral Elena Nechayev, the authority of the United Federation of Planets is sacrosanct. She is unwavering in her dedication to its guiding principles, and she enforces its mandates regardless of any objections raised by her fellow Starfleet officers. Okay. And then we have Keiko and Miles O'Brien for the lovers. One moment here. I have to move my chihuahua. He is really snoring. Then we have the Chariot, which is the Starship Enterprise. Worf for strength. That makes sense. The Hermit would be Noonien Sung. Noonan Sung. Anyway, it's Data's creator, or what Data calls his father. Noonien Sung. Okay. And that makes sense too, because he kind of went off on his own like a hermit. For the Wheel of Fortune, we have Guinan. She's the one, and some people look at the Wheel of Fortune as a time travel card, and she is very, very old in the show and has seen many, many lifetimes, you know, of other people, and she also understands when time shifts. So this made sense. And here we have Picard, Jean-Luc Picard, as the Justice card. And yes, I would imagine that this holds true. He probably is better in this position than he would be as Emperor, simply because he is the supreme judge. He is the one that does all the mediation and holds the crew together, and yeah, this works. Then we have the Hanged Man, would be, and I can't remember his first name. His last name is Barclay. Let me look here. Reginald Barclay. And he isn't a character that is in the show all the way through as the others have been. So I'm going to look at the book for him. It says, the Hanged Man is caught between choice and hesitation, decision and indecision. He is trapped by fate and filled with inner conflict. Lieutenant Reginald Barclay knows that conflict well. Since he joined the crew of the Enterprise, his social anxiety has hampered his efforts to interact with his fellow officers, and his many phobias make him hesitant to join away teams, leading to less than stellar performance reviews. Okay, so it looks like for some of these, they took specific episodes and chose who would be on each card. For the regular crew members, that was easy, but for the Hanged Man, have to think on that. Not real sure I don't know. And then we have Natasha Yar, and she is Death. It was quite an impactful episode when the tar monster took her life for no reason, thus putting her on the Death card. Then we have Spock for Temperance, and he is, that made sense, I guess, to me, because he is the logic, the balance of situations. Then we have Lore, which is the bad brother of Data. And I know what they're doing here. They have to put something and someone. So Lore as the devil, looking at this card from the standpoint that the devil is someone outside of yourself. When in my thinking, the devil card is your shadow self, or you've given your power to someone else. That is the devil card. You can change things, and Well, with lore, they would have to shut him off. And then we have Hugh of the Borg as the Tower card, and I really need to take a look at this too to see how that relates. So the Tower, Hugh of Borg, the Tower represents chaos and conflict, a crumbling monument doomed to fall. When Hugh of Borg is brought aboard the Enterprise, he believes that the Borg collective is the perfect way to exist, and that every being in the universe wants to be assimilated into it. But exposure to the independent minds of the crew and separation from the collective combine to shatter that worldview, leaving him lost and confused. Okay, that does make sense. Then we have the Star, which is Wesley Crusher. That would be Beverly Crusher, the Empress. It would be her son. And he's the Star. He is the hope of the future. Ensign Laren Rowe as the Moon. And I think she's a very mysterious character. It takes a while to get beneath her exterior self. So I think that's probably why they put her in on the Moon card. The Sun is Lawaksana Troy, and she is a very bright character. And I'm not saying bright in the sense that she's extremely intelligent. I'm saying that she brightens up a room when she enters it. She's just so full of life. So the Sun makes great sense. And for Judgment, we have Q. And this makes sense too because, and I really do believe it is the first episode that took place for Star Trek Next Generation. It might have been a two-parter. And that is when they met Q, and he was judge and jury, basically, of this trial he put the crew through. So yes, that works. And the world is the galaxy here. So here it looks like we have our court cards. So we have the King of Cloaks, which is Wands. And these are Romulans. And I cannot tell you without looking at the book for each one of them who they are specifically. We have the King of Cloaks, the Queen of Cloaks. I do believe this is Tasha Yar's daughter. She was not good like her mother. The Knight of Cloaks and the Page of Cloaks. So yeah, we'll at least look and see what the names of these people are. Let's find the cloaks and go to the back. It's funny that they've got the ace through 10 first and then the court cards next, but they put the court cards first in here. So the king is Bach. Or no, that's King of Latinum. We need cloaks. Maybe they did do it. Hold on. Opened my mouth. Oh yeah, they did put them first. Okay. So this is Tomalak of the Romulans. This is, I believe it's pronounced Sella. Toreth. And I remember she's like so loyal to the Romulans. To a fault. And then we have Selak as the page. This character, I honestly can say I don't remember. Okay, so now we're just going to go through the pips here, 1 through 10. And the only variants that I really can see here so far is the one has the Romulan ship, and perhaps that's the Romulan homeworld. And then we have 2 ships surrounding the Romulan homeworld and 3 ships, 4 ships, 5 ships, and things are turning. 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So it starts out apparently with kind of a small eclipse and continues on until it is a full eclipse at the number 10 for wands. Okay, so then we have next the Latinum court cards. And so we have the King of Latinum is Bach. The Queen of Latinum, now this is interesting. This is Vash. And she was kind of a girlfriend for a little while to Captain Picard. She also went off with Q. She just knew how to play the game, we'll put it that way. She was very good at getting what she wanted by not being necessarily honest about things. So it is interesting that they put her as the Queen of Latinum and she's not a Ferengi. All right, then we have Ferengi, sorry. Then we have Goss as the Knight of Latinum. And we have Dr. Rega as the Page. And I do somewhat remember the episode that I do believe those 3, Bach, Goss, and Rega, all were in the same episode. So here we have Bars of Latinum is what we're seeing here. 1 through, I'm assuming 10. 10 bars of gold Latinum. 1 through 10. And then for the swords, and Latinum, by the way, was Pentacles. So batliths, these are the weapons of choice for the Klingons. So Gowron is the king of swords or batliths. Keurig is the queen of batliths or swords. Kalar is the knight of batliths, and this was Worf's wife. And this is Alexander Rodchenko as the Page of Batliths, and that's Worf and Kalar's son, who was raised by, for a while at least, by Worf's parents when Kalar was killed. So then we have batliths for the pips. So as you can see, they only fit partial batliths on the wall. Okay, so then we have the cups as the last, or I should say starships as the last of them. So the King of Starships. Now, keeping in mind that cups is emotion, and Vulcans are not supposed to have emotion, but he is King of Starships because he's mastered his emotions. This would be Spock's father, Sarek. We have the Queen of Starships, which is Alyssa Ogawa. She worked in the sick bay with Dr. Crusher. Then we have Nella Darren as Knight. I can't place her for some reason in the show. Now this is strange too, because I mean, I have seen Next Generation, I can't tell you how many times. And then we have Page of Starships, which is Lal, and this is Data's daughter. He built her. And then, well, if you haven't seen the episode, I don't want to tell you what happens. For those that have seen the episode, quite an emotional one. Thus, the Page of Cups or Starships. And then, of course, we have the Enterprise and all the Enterprises for 1 through 10 as the pip cards. Now, a lot of times I know people are curious about the cards themselves. It's not bad cardstock. It's a little thicker, I think, than, or no, I would say it's probably, I think I could probably riffle shuffle. We're going to try. I'm not one to usually riffle shuffle, but that is the way that many do tell whether it's, you know, a deck that they can do that with. And as you can see, there's really no shine per se to these cards. It's more of a matte finish, which I kind of like. I have to admit, I'm not a fan of, and you can see I have not used this deck, but we have a bow. I'm not a fan of pip decks. Maybe because I'm, you know, somewhat new. In reading tarot. And pip decks, obviously they offer a challenge. Now I have gone and done it. I do not do reversals, so I have just done reversals by accident in my shuffling. But I'm not going to go through and fix that. Yeah, I think probably with some working the deck, I think a riffle shuffle would be more than possible. Side shuffles quite nicely, which is the way I prefer. Not great at it, but, and it's going to take a little bit to get these mixed well enough for Sakeina to pull a couple random cards or send out a couple jumpers of random cards. So I will be back when I have them good and shuffled. Okay, I'm back. I've done a fair amount of shuffling here, and we're going to let Sakeina pop out a card, if she would please, to let us know what her opinion is about this Star Trek Next Generation deck. Okay, so the time that it's taking for Sakeina to throw out a card is very unusual. And I'm wondering if she doesn't want to say anything about the deck. So I'm going to go off camera here for a minute and see if she throws one out for me. Sakeina, can you send out a jumper for me? Let me know what you think of this deck. Ha ha ha, we got two. Okay, so we have two cards here. We have the Five of Swords and we have the Ten of Pentacles. And I really do have a difficult time with pip cards. I know that the Five of Swords is kind of a, I look at it as a disruption of the mind. Something is interfering with the way I would normally think about this deck or a deck of tarot cards. And the Ten of Pentacles, yeah, I'm having a hard time with this, and I'm going to see what they have to say because I can't put it together for some reason for myself. Even though Sakeina and I usually have really good communication. What good is Latinum without family and friends to enjoy it with? Your home and community have grown prosperous due to your success. Still, keep an eye on your profits. Rule of acquisition number 75. Here, home is where the heart is, but the stars are made of Latinum. Okay. And then the Five of Batliths. Your starship is outflanked and outnumbered. This battle cannot be won, but you refuse to retreat. Today may be a good day to die, but what of the campaigns ahead? Sacrificing yourself may not serve the greater war. Even Klingons must pick their battles. All right, so Sakeina's take on this, from the way that I'm thinking here of what I read, is it's a little confusing to the mind, mainly because if you don't know the show and you don't know what episodes they came out of, and you're counting on those characters helping you remember what the Major Arcana cards are and what the court cards depict, it would be very difficult for someone to be able to do that. And again, you know, with the pip cards, that's also a disruption of the mind. And with the Ten of Pentacles, I'm thinking that this is going, you know, it'll be a sustainable deck as a collectible deck. And for somebody who knows the show really well, it might work beautifully. But when it says, you know, what good is Latinum without family and friends? My thinking here is it isn't going to work for everyone, is what Sakeina's trying to say here. So I think that's it for this walkthrough. I'm not the greatest at it, but giving it a shot here, and I'll get better as time goes on. So I thank you for watching and hope that you've learned something about this deck and have enjoyed this walkthrough. So until next time, take care.